Thanks for staying with us. I'm Emunatu Bint Uthman Mensah. We are now settling on a particular question that needs a whole lot to be digested. And to help me do that, we have in the studio Prince Charles Afeji Hayford. And he's a member, associate member, Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Practitioners of Ghana. And we are looking at what really Labour Commission and other duty bearers are doing about the incessant victimization of Ghanaian workers in the industry. And to help me do justice to this, Prince, good evening.
Good evening, Memuna.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So quickly, working conditions, working services. Let's narrow it down to Ghanaian workers working with foreign companies. How should their condition of service be?
Okay, so basically with the conditions of services, and it varies from every organization that you, but if you look at the Labor Regulation 2007, that is the LI 1833, it sets out a few conditions of employment. So we're looking at the right of a worker to training and confidentiality. We're looking at probation. We're looking at hours of working time. We're looking at employment of young persons in hazardous, working environment. We're looking at remuneration during interdiction, and then prohibition of victimization. So these have all been set out in the labor regulations and also the Labor Act, which ought to be followed by all and sundry. The question will be, are we doing that or
Are we doing that?
And most importantly, with the foreign operating companies and their subsidiaries here in Ghana.
Yeah.
So that is a question for the Labour Commission of Ghana, the Ministry of Labour and Employment. And
do you have any suggestion for them?
Yes. But before I move into the suggestion, I must quickly say that I have personally suffered under these foreign operating companies and their subsidiaries working in Ghana. There is a current matter with the Labour Commission in focus about myself. So to do a proper, though I am an associate chartered professional, with the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Practitioners of Ghana, I also happen to be the Deputy Corporate Security and Risk Manager for Visa Facilitation Service, VFS/MFA, and then the Ghana Passport Premium Application Center here in Accra. And so we're talking about conditions of service, and we're looking at all the acts, the Labor Act, we're looking at also Factories and Offices and Shops Act 1970, name them. There are myriads of legislation that is supposed to govern, labor and operation of bodies or offices and factories and shops across the country. In line with this, if you look at the Factories and Offices and Shops Act 1970, there's a provision for, in terms of, if you have an office or you have a space working, in terms of ventilation, name them, let's say sitting. My particular issue was with sitting, condition.
Sitting posture at the office.
Where in my organization, when I joined about 3 years back, I'm nearly 4 years. So when I went into the organization, I realized that my sitting posture or sitting position wasn't the best. And so I beckoned the management of the company. And you'll be wild that nothing was done.
Really?
Yes, and it went on till about 3 years until I developed a spine injury, which was
unfortunate.
Which was diagnosed by the Cocoa Clinic, and currently I'm on a referral to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital.
So before you continue, were you compensated?
No, not as at now. With much push, I can tell you for a fact that. And that is why when we go on further, you would understand this. In my case like this, there was a back and forth where the HR of the company was trying to, run away from the responsibility that it wasn't them and all that. But truth be told, eventually they realized that it was the sitting posture. So it calls for a look for all, organizations, and for that matter, these foreign operating companies and, subsidiaries who are working here in Ghana, to abide, by the law and make sure that the dictates are lived up to. Other than that,
So is it that the Labour Commission is not doing more to actually educate Ghanaian workers on their rights?
I may not be quick to say that, but I think that this has given us an opportunity for the Labour Commission, the Ministry of Labour and Employment, the Factories and Inspectorate Directorate under the Labour, under the Ministry of Labour and Employment, to look at this. It's high, because we need to be sending out inspectors to these factories, these shops, these offices, across the country. And then in terms of organizational health and compliances, let's see whether they are doing them, because it would interest you to know. You happen to be in the enclave of one of the most industrial areas here in Ghana, industrial area, South Industrial Area, and I'll charge you just pick your cameras and go to the offices or the factories around and check whether some of these things are being put in place. And so that is what has brought this, call. In my case, thanks to God, I'm being taken care of one of the best neurosurgeons in the country.
So what
Dr.
about
Wadu.
someone that doesn't know where to go, who to go to? What
Exactly.
happens?
That is why I have beckoned or I've petitioned the Labour Commission of Ghana. Just to take us a bit aback with my specific issues and all that, I have shared a 26-page petition already to the Labour Commission on Unfair Treatment in my office. And so I am an associate chartered professional, so I understand the law and I know the law. So I have petitioned them. And if you look at the volumes of evidences, with this, it's more than a teaser. But this, because it's at Labour, I'm not permitted to talk about it, because if you send your issues to court, you are not supposed to be making public, comments about that. So this one, severance or summons have been served to that, and we are waiting for their response in 14 days. But this has precipitated into another petition, which is the national petition, which was served only a week ago. That is the 12th of October. This petition is a national petition served to the chairman for the Labour Commission. And I've had discussions with the executive secretary already. He's also kept in copy. If you look at this national petition, the matter is that I'm calling for an audit and enactment of laws to govern the operations of all foreign companies and their subsidiaries here in Ghana. You are a media journalist, so you would by now know that there are lots of some of these incidences or incessant misbehavior of some of these offices. Some undergoing challenges, injuries and whatnot. So the Labour Commission has been petitioned in respect of this. The President, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo Dankwa, I went to his office and I served the petition. It was signed and received. We've submitted one also to the Speaker of Parliament, and then also Majority Leader in Parliament, Minority Leader, the Chief Justice, Majority, Parliamentary Select Committee on Foreign Affairs, and then also the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Attorney General's Department, Trade. I've involved all these people and all the top media, guys in the country. This is the time for us to move the frontiers of labor in Ghana, and for that matter, seek the interest of Ghana. I
pray it's giving the needed attention.
Sure, and the media has a role to play in this, because the media is copied in this, as well as the international media. So we need to, this is the time for a national discourse, to be able to formulate policies or laws to be able to govern their operations. And I must be quick to say that this is without any anti-Semitic or xenophobic approach, but it's born out of mere nationalism and the respect for the UN Sustainable Development Goal on respecting human rights. And
before we take leave of you, would you suggest a benchmark salaries for foreign companies? Would you?
I would, certainly, because like my company, Visa Facilitation Service, they are in a joint collaboration that is with the Ghana government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But I can tell you that if you look at the wage structure or the pay structure, which perhaps maybe my colleagues in maybe Nigeria or South Africa or in the US or in the UK are being paid on my level as Deputy Corporate Security, they would be higher. Okay? So why don't we promulgate policies and laws?
There should be a cutoff point.
Exactly
like
so. And this is a policy issue. And that is why at the seat, of lawmaking and policy making, that is why we've also petitioned the Speaker of Parliament and for that matter, Parliament of Ghana to take this up. Either than that, posterity is not going to judge us right. And like I already said, the media is also supposed to be a part of this. We don't want the issues where when the issues come up, the media takes it up and then they never really, talk about it and it goes under the carpet. So this is the time for me. I decide to let posterity judge me right. And for all the voiceless and vulnerable employees in Ghana, and especially those working in these foreign operating companies, I seek to speak on their behalf. Memuna.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Charles.
you, Memuna.
Would invite you again so we talk more on this particular discuss. So those were some encouraging words and challenges thrown at government and duty bearers by Prince Charles Afeji Hayford, who is Associate Member, Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Practitioners, Ghana. Would invite him for more